Hi, it's Dennis Daly. If you ever go to Vegas, that is, if you haven't been there before, you may look at all of those big hotels and think, most cities could deal with only one of these, and Vegas has 47 of them, including the RIO. When it was first being built, I was invited to come interview several people. I first talked to Barry Larvin, the fellow who was in charge of putting together what they hoped would be a very attractive wine cellar. I asked Barry about his UK accent.
I left school at the usual age in the UK of 16 years of age, and I was different from most because instead of going upper level into university, I broke my leg. And by breaking my leg, it meant I missed a class, which meant I missed a year, which then meant I needed to start looking for work. So my first idea of work was, because of this broken leg, was to work in an office, because one of the surgeons said, look, you'll have to take something where you're sitting down most of the day because you'll never walk properly again. And you've heard this with many, many people. And yes, I'm walking very, very well. And we, meaning my family, decided that it would be a good idea to go into the centre of London. We lived about 20 miles on the outskirts. So I applied for a job as an office junior and went for many jobs as office juniors, including to be the office junior for a company called DENNS Enterprises, were the people who looked after the Beatles. Well, I didn't get that one, and I went to a place called Grosvenor House, and that was a hotel, and I didn't get that one either. And they said, look, we don't have the office job anymore, but you can be a commie waiter. So I said, fine, not knowing.
Be a what now?
A commie waiter, which means...
Commie?
Yeah.
Sounds like communist.
Which is in fact a busboy in your language. And I went home and I said, I've got this job as a commie waiter, and no one understood that at home either. And they said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to be sort of clearing dishes from tables and doing a bit of washing the pots and pans and learning the job of being a waiter. And my father said to me, well, he said, you'll never do that at all. He said, you're too clumsy. So I went to this club and worked for 3 months doing the pots and pans and laying up the restaurant, and I was the quickest ever to be promoted to a waiter, and I was very, very happy. Had my little 6 tables and was home at 10 o'clock at night, which was very early for someone in that profession, and continued to do that until a client said to me one day, said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, maybe I want to go onto the ships, the QE2, and go around the world and be a waiter on the QE2. He said, before you do that, he said, I can get you into the Dorchester Hotel, and at the Dorchester Hotel I can get you on their management scheme. And apparently everybody in the industry wanted to go on to the Dorchester Hotel's management scheme, and this customer who seemed to take a liking to me got me an interview with the general manager. He said, no problem, Barry. He said, well, we can give you a job as a trainee manager, and you'll be doing this, this and this, and in 5 years you'll be an assistant manager of the hotel. I said, I don't want to do that, I want to be a waiter. And they couldn't understand this. And so eventually I won, and I was a very junior waiter, and I went round to the grill room, I went on the floor service, and on my days off I worked in the cellar, because I was intrigued by what...
You mean the wine cellar?
The wine cellar, yeah. And in the wine cellar there, I used to put the wines away and, climb up steps and put these wines away. And little did I know at the time, but I was throwing around wine, which was very, very special. I said, no, I don't want to be the wine waiter, because that means you've got to work lunch and dinner. I want this job, coming in at 10, getting home at 7. He said, one of these days you're going to have to work for a living. And he said, we might as well start now.
By the way, how many hours a day are you working now?
Oh my goodness, I work an average. I was just talking to someone. I said, I'm gonna actually lower my hours. I'm only gonna do 12 hours a day, and I'm only gonna do 4 hours on Saturday, and I'm gonna take Sunday off. So I do at the moment about 14, I think, is my hourly.
So you're finally having to conform to what they were telling you years ago.
Yep. Yeah, I've now caught up. But in fact, I did this job as a wine waiter. I did my duty. I went to the clothing manufacturer that produced it, Tails, which was those butler type uniforms that you wore in those days, got the wing collar and the bow tie. And then I was given a check pad so I could write out the orders, a corkscrew so I could open the bottles, and a cigar cutter so I could attend to cigars. And they said, these are your tables, and they gave me a map of the restaurant, table numbers, they told me what they were, and that was it. That was how I started. And I got caught on my third day when a customer said to me, look, this port is wonderful, please can you tell us all about it? And that was great, because I'd listened to all these guys for now 4 years, so I could repeat like a parrot, looks like this, smells like this, tastes like this. The only thing was I coughed because it caught me in the throat, and I'd never drunk before. So I went and I told the head wine butler, who was 36 years of age, I said, listen, Luigi, I said, you're never going to do that again. He said, well, I've done the thing. I said, I'm never going to go to a client and be embarrassed again. He said, listen, I've been winging it for 20 years. Why don't you do the same? So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. So the following day, I went to the library in the afternoon and I studied wine, management, cooking, pots and pans, you name it, and I did it. And I did this for a total of 4 years, every afternoon. And then we had a telephone call and they said, do you know there's a competition in Brussels for the best wine waiter in Europe, and we want you from the Dorchester and a guy called Andrea Tavanero from the Connaught Hotel in London, and we're going to send you both to represent United Kingdom. So I went to the personnel director and I said, look, human resources in your language, and I said, look, I've been told to go to Belgium. I always said, that's any old port in a storm, so we get back to the port story again. And I went there and I came 5th, and when I came back,
you probably didn't think you'd rate that high, did you?
No, we thought I was going to come 17th.
No.
There was 18 in the competition, and we thought that I'd do better than the guy from the Connaught, and we thought I would come 17th. So then I won 3 times in a row the wine waiting competitions in the UK. No problem whatsoever. That was an easy task. Then in 1971, they asked me to go to Milan. And this time it was not Europe anymore, it was the wine waiter of the world, because they've invited more countries, and there was 42 people from 33 countries. So these competitions, they're funny affairs. You battle it out in the morning with the theory, and then you do a tasting, and then the guys with the 5 best points then go in the evening and fight it out over a restaurant table. So you do the competition, you do your tasting, and you go to lunch. And when we're at lunch, thinking that I didn't stand a chance, you studied for a long time, you're under tremendous pressure for 3 hours, so you let loose. And I knew that I couldn't drink wine, because just in that remote chance, if I was going to be in the final, I couldn't be on the stage with 2 or 3 glasses of wine inside of me. So we went through with this lunch, which became longer and longer and longer, and all of a sudden they mentioned the 5 candidates who were going to be in the final that evening, and my number was called. And the difference between me and the rest was everyone else thought they were going to be in the final. I didn't. So I didn't have the dinner jacket, the bow tie, and everything else with me, you see. So they said, yes, you're in the final, and you got 45 minutes to be ready. So we got a taxi from where it was to the hotel, put on the dinner jacket, and then went ready to go. And I got the silver medal.
Good heavens.
And so that was an amazing thing, because we had letters from all over the world saying, look, this is amazing. And a Frenchman, an Italian, a German, anyone from a wine growing area, to do that what you've done, that's a feat.
We're on the road again at the RIO Suite Hotel and Casino. Our host is Barry Larvin. Barry started out as a humble busboy, and now he's a world-famous wine expert. I asked him about the French word that begins with the letter S that's a little hard to pronounce for the American ear that means wine expert.
The word is sommelier, but over here they have a different pronunciation. I think they call them sommelier, and that doesn't give me a problem. And the spelling is S-O-M-M-E-L-I-E-R, and the way we remember it is this, 2 M's and 1 L.
2 M's and 1 L, okay. And it simply means wine expert.
It means, yeah. When people at the RIO say to me, what do you do here? I just say I'm the wine guy, and everyone understands. But the word sommelier is in fact French, and it comes from the word somme, which means sleep, and it's meant to be, one of the versions of it is meant to be the person that looks after the wines while they're sleeping.
In the cellar.
In the wine cellar, yeah.
Barry, let's move forward in time. Here we are at the RIO in Las Vegas. You're engaged in a very exciting project to actually find a way to make fine wines accessible, not only psychologically, but by the drink to people who wouldn't have the opportunity financially or otherwise to be introduced to them. Let me ask a question. You could take, I'm sure, 2 hours to answer this. The mystique that surrounds wine, why is it there? And why is it that so many people are reluctant to even taste a wine, even if we take away the religious and the cultural problems some people have with this? Because they've grown up thinking that it's a rich man's esoteric, kind of snooty kind of thing.
The mystique is there because obviously there are some people that want it to be there. I remember very distinctly in the 1960s that part of my training was to go to Vintner's Hall the second Friday of every month to learn about wine. And I heard all of these words like austere, acidic, fruitful, and I never understood what they meant. I literally didn't understand. I could understand sour, sweet, and bitter. I can understand good, I can understand bad, and I can understand like, and I can understand dislike. And I had to learn all of those words. Then this mystique was because it was thought that wine was only for the people that had made it. The people who were rich, the people that had the country houses, or the people that went out to wine and dine. That if you were at home in the UK, when I had my tea, which was everybody else's dinner, I had a cup of tea with it. If I took my girlfriend out to dinner, I had wine with it. Because wine was the thing that you did in a restaurant, but you didn't do at home. And if we actually study where it all comes from, then we never knew how wrong we were, because most farmers are winemakers. And quite often a farmer would kill the pig, grow the wheat, and make the wine from the grapes. And the mystique really is quite amazing how we've really put up with it, because we're drinking today Coca-Cola, and that Coca-Cola probably came through a machine, and that machine is syrup and water. And wherever you go up and down the strip here, you can taste sweeter Coca-Colas, drier Coca-Colas, wetter Coca-Colas, some that have got lime and some have got lemon, and they're all distinct. You could say, hey, that's a bit sweet, or this one's got lime in, this one's got lemon in, this one's been mixed with lemonade, or whatever it may be. And yet when it comes to a glass of wine, everyone says, I don't know what we're doing here. And it's quite amazing because it's easy to see wine. Most wines have got different colors.
Barry continued to explain to me the importance of explaining wine in a common sense manner, comparing the tasting of it, for example, to the tasting of other things, including soft drinks.
It's really the ability to actually communicate about wine, that why it is drier in your mouth, why you like oak, why you like French oak, why you like American oak, why you like charred oak, why you like steamed oak. And that's just how it's made, the way it's made. And then when you talk about the actual grapes, then it must be fairly easy to differentiate between a Cabernet grape and a Merlot grape, a Sauvignon Blanc grape and a Chardonnay. And so if you actually talk to people, then we know that it can be easily taught. We have some beautiful girls in this casino, and there's beautiful girls in every casino that serve cocktails. We took them on a 3-day course here so that they knew everything about the product that they were serving. And those girls now are totally amazing, because they stop me as I walk through the casino and they say, "Barry, you've got me into trouble yet again." I used to go into a liquor store and I used to pick up a bottle of wine. That used to take me 3 minutes. I used to go for one particular one. It was the third shelf on the right, and I was out of there. Now I'm always an hour late, because I look at every label and I say, "Oh yeah, Barry told me about that. Yeah, Barry told me to look for 12.5% alcohol. Oh yeah, Barry told me about that. Barry told me to look at the back label. How much information is there on the back label?" And it goes onwards and forwards. And in fact, provided you bring the wine to the people, then you'll have no problem at all. I think we're the only place probably in the world where our wine tastings, which we do for the people that work here, they are blind tasting. A blind tasting is where people have a glass in front of them and the bottle is hidden, and they don't know what that wine is, and what they try to do is evaluate it. And I am in the same position. I don't know either.
Well, now, isn't it embarrassing, though, from the standpoint of being a waiter, in being asked questions and realizing that your management hasn't prepared you for this? I mean, I would think, and waiters and waitresses, my God, they're among the hardest working people in the world, but that if they don't have that background, it not only looks bad for the establishment, but it can be embarrassing for them to realize they cannot answer these questions.
The worst thing you can do in a selling position is not know your product. And the RIO have gone beyond all steps probably than anyone else in ensuring that the members of staff are aware of the product. You know, we have at the moment 360 different wines here, and we go up to over 600 next February when all our new units open. And the people that work here, we have people that work in the casino as dice dealers on the crap tables that are coming to work with us on wine programs next year, because they're solely interested, and these people remember not about Mouton Rothschild of what it's like every year, but which artist painted the picture on the label. There are 61 certain chateaus in Bordeaux which are known as classified wines, and these people remember those from A to Z. And they can drive up Napa, and instead of saying, well, you go right here, left there, look for the signpost there, they'll say, well, carry on past Mondavi, turn right at this one, turn left at this one, look for this, look for that, and just before you get to a certain vineyard, then that's where you got to turn right or left. And it's amazing what people will do. And we actually did our first course here now, coming up for 6 months ago, for 8 waiters. So we laid 12 places with the glasses, the water, the biscuits and whatever, and 25 people arrived. We thought we were going to do one course for one of our restaurants. At the moment we've done a total of 11 different courses here. More than 240 people have been on the courses just in the last 6 months, and by the time we open the new tower, 600 people will be trained in wine at the RIO.
I guess the bottom line to this is, why is the RIO going out of its way to provide an atmosphere to suddenly make maybe for the first time for a lot of people, wine accessible to take the mystique away from it. Obviously, you're not owned by the wine industry. I mean, the people in Sonoma and Napa aren't under the table saying, hey, increase our product out here. But who is the driving force behind this? It's a wonderful concept, but what is your final goal in all of this?
I think the actual final goal is a very, very simple word, and it's really service, giving the people what they want. You can go into a restaurant and you can order your food and you can order your wine and you can have a great time, and you've learnt one wine. What we want to do is provide an atmosphere where, if you want to learn about wine in a very easy way, you can look at some of the finest wines in the world, which gives you interest. We've got in that little cellar down there the only collection in the world of Chateau Yquem, which is the world's finest sweet wine, from 1855 through to 1990. We've got the only set of 7 very large bottles called Methuselah's of the best vineyards in Burgundy. We've got wines going back to the 1800s. We've got very special wines, 1900, and we've got history linked to those wines. So you see liquid history next to the wine. So if in 1835 someone was born or died or did something, then that will be on a little card next to the wine. So you can learn about what's gone on. And 3 of the presidents of the United States, I keep on saying this, died on July the 4th. You might want to
2 on the same July 4th.
And what you might want to do, if you're interested in wine, is in fact look at what's happening in Napa Valley at the moment, or Sonoma, or Alexander Valley, or Russian River. You might want to know what's going on in the River Rhine in Germany. So there'll be little pictures telling you what to do.
Let me hold here for half a second. The thought occurs to me is, since Vegas has such an international clientele, it will be interesting to see the reactions of people from Italy, France, Germany to what you're doing here.
Yeah, that's true. And I think also, I might have to go to Australia, because I think Australia is the new wine area of the world. Not because of any other reason, that I think that we need to go there, see what's happening, to ensure that what we're doing is really up-to-the-minute stuff. We know that Bordeaux started off the wine trade, but Australia seems to be the guys at the moment who are really putting things forward. And the other thing about that cellar is it's a working cellar. When you're walking around that cellar, you'll see my little boys and girls in green. We always say they're going to wear green. I don't know what they're going to wear really. Putting wines in that have been delivered, taking wines out that are going to any of the 12 restaurants, preparing wines for wine tastings that will be going on for public all around the hotel, or preparing wines. There's going to be 8 wine stations where there's going to be 8 people behind wine service areas, and you get a set of 3 glasses. And you get a flight free. It could be a Chardonnay flight, it could be an Australian flight. Some of them will be tasted blind, i.e. you won't know what they are, and you can try those wines, and if you like them, you won't know what the price is or where they come from. Those wines will be available in the retail shop, so that once you finish your wine tasting, you can then pick up those bottles of wine. It's going to be, at the moment, the probably most interesting wine cellar for the public in the world. We know that there are some super wine cellars in the world all over the place. We know some of the people who have those cellars, but they're normally behind closed doors. There is absolutely nowhere where you can go along and look at old wines. There's nowhere where you can actually walk through a cellar and see the workings of a cellar. There's nowhere where you'll be able to taste different wines every day from different producers, and be able to then buy those wines on the way out. And we've got a thing which we call the Vintner of the Month, which means every month there's going to be a different wine area promoted, or a different company promoted. We start off with Bordeaux, which was probably the first area in the world that, after the Romans, made wine for everyday drinking for the public. Then we go into California, and we've got a very, very famous winemaker coming down from California. Then we go into sparkling wine. Then we go into Australia. So there's always going to be something happening. So you can come down to that cellar and there'll always be something going on. And the most important thing that we're doing, it's all about really knowledge. The people that will be serving you will be trained people, and they'll be trained on a daily basis. And it's going to be a cellar where if you want a bottle of wine that's going to cost $7, you'll be given the same treatment as the person that comes and takes one of the wines from our collection at maybe $7,000. And what we want to do is ensure that everyone gets a fair deal. We want to make sure that if you want to talk to one of the people down there about very, very fine wines, someone will do it. And if you say, look, do you know where I can get a half a bottle of wine for $5? We'll probably try and get it for you. These things haven't just started at the Rio. If you go to the gift shop at the moment, there's a selection of wines, and those selections of wines are talked about on a weekly basis, where we say, what wines do our customers want? What price should we be charging? What really makes people pick up wine? And we've got wines that we put on that shelf because they got a pretty label. And you know, that helps a lot of people sell wines. And the other thing is that we want to ensure that when you go around that cellar, you have a good time, you know.
Barry, one final thing, not to give thieves any ideas here, but how much of an inventory money-wise are you going to have? And tell us about the purchase you made at auction recently that got so much publicity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there won't be many thieves there. We've got 3 security guards. They're about 6'6" tall, and they will very gently ensure that you only take wine out one way, and that's inside you. The total purchases are probably, when we open that cellar, there'll be $5 million plus worth of wine. Something in the region between 27 and 37,000 bottles. And the reason that can change is that we've looked at a lot of the figures, and we think we could be selling up to 1,000 bottles a day, which means that if we open on the 7th of February, by the 17th, we could have lost an awful lot of wine that's been taken out. Recently we bought 2 Nebuchadnezzars of Mouton Rothschild. Mouton Rothschild is a very, very fine vineyard.
Now we should explain, a Nebuchadnezzar is a big bottle.
Yeah, it's a big bottle. It comes up to my chest. It's 20 bottles. That's what it actually holds. The vineyards don't make many bottles this size, and there's 2 reasons for this. A, the bottles have to be specially made, and B, there's not many people that really would buy on a daily basis 20 bottle size of Mouton Rothschild, because it's about $35,000 for each one of these. And there's a significance of it is that we didn't buy 1, we bought 2. And
in case you break one.
Yeah, well, many a true word.
Barry, you enjoy this, don't you?
I love it. I love it. I mean, that's what I was put on the earth for, and let's hope I'm doing it for a very long time.
After talking to Barry Larvin, we were asked to don hard hats and go into the construction area where the new tower is being built. Just a madhouse, if you will, of people welding and building things overhead. I saw a big semicircular area with representations of doors and windows, and I asked Tom Roberts, the Vice President of Retail Development there, exactly what it was all going to become.
This will be a combination of an expansion of the existing building that will add 1,000 new suites to the Rio, 60,000 feet of new gaming, as well as a retail and entertainment environment that will be a new concept and a new addition to the Rio offerings.
Now, what is the theme here? This is the outer walls of a street. I see balconies going up.
This is an architectural representation of a 200 to 300-year-old Tuscan hill town that has changed architecturally over time. Buildings have been retrofitted, storefronts have changed, and although it is brand new, it will appear to be very aged and old when it opens.
You've got something up in the ceiling. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Is that just for cabling? Is there going to be a ride up there? It looks almost like a suspended railroad track.
That is very similar to a monorail track suspended from the ceiling at the third story of the new hotel casino expansion. That will be the home for the Masquerade Show in the Sky. And what that is an interactive live performance that will involve floats and performers that will interact with the customers throughout the day, every other hour.
I'm afraid to ask how many computers you're going to have to run all of this.
This is an interesting experience because it not only combines technology, but it also includes human interaction, where 25 customers get to put on costumes and be crew members and ride in the show with the entertainers every other hour.
Wow. There is so much competition here in Vegas, and I'm sure that if we went to any of the other casinos, they would all have a story to tell and tell us how wonderful they are. How important to getting first-time customers is having something unique like this?
What the RIO is all about is providing an opportunity that doesn't exist anywhere else in town. The RIO is the only all-suite hotel casino in the world and the only all-casino and all-suite hotel in the United States. So we provide a room product that's very different. We provide a gaming experience that's a little different than anyone else. And by involving gaming in this new village, we basically take the interactive level of the customer and the retail and restaurants and put them all together in a way that's never been done before.
Isn't it not somewhat the wave of the future to make it not just gaming but a total experience, and not just for the criticism of gaming itself, but just for the sheer diversification of it?
I think we're fortunate in Nevada and that the government and the casino owners and operators in Nevada have realized that gaming needs to grow and expand and change over time. It's not simply a game, it's an experience and it's entertainment. And gaming has evolved and been accepted into more of an entertainment experience. And by adding more restaurants, by adding a show in the sky, by adding suites, we really round out the gaming experience so that it is more universally accepted and understood by lots of different customers and appeals to lots of different people. And I think then gaming becomes more of entertainment, more than just a dollar and exchange change on gambling.
It's going to be quite a place, but it was great fun to go behind the scenes before the construction is completed. The grand opening, they hope, February 7th. We'll be going back to the RIO for those festivities. My special thanks to Tyra Squires and everyone at the RIO Suite Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, to Tom Roberts, the Vice President of Retail Development, and also to Barry Larvin, the wine expert, the wine guy. He's involved in an exciting new project. Now, the RIO has been around for a long time, and it's interesting to go back and see it, well, hear it being built. I'm Dennis Davis.